Good morning, everybody. Today we have another community conversation, and this morning we have Dr. Jacob Wallace joining us. Jake, what is your official title at the university?
I am Director of Concert Bands and Assistant Professor of Music.
Nice. So we're doing what we did last week and asking the same 5 questions, but tailored to that person's field, just to kind of get an insight for artists and community members of things that are going on. So we'll start with the first question today. What is your background and your job?
So my background, at least professionally, stems from a love of conducting. I conduct bands of all sorts. I work with athletic bands, I work with concert bands, and I have taught a lot of things in terms of music in higher education through my career. I'm in my 11th year of college teaching and spent my time before that pursuing degrees, advanced degrees in my field because I had a passion for it.
And it's not just SDSU bands, you do clinics and stuff throughout the United States, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, part of our mission at SDSU is to do community outreach and outreach into the field through our extension mission. So among the many things that I do is I go all over the place to work with bands, and that includes within the community, within the region, and then further abroad when I get the invitation to do those things.
So prior to coming to South Dakota, where were you? Where did you grow up, and what was your background before all this?
I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay.
Grew up there and went to school there, stayed in-state for my undergraduate degree at the University of Nebraska. And then I pursued a master's degree at Baylor University.
Okay.
Did the bulk of my doctoral work and got my degree from the University of Georgia. And then spent 6 years teaching in rural Oklahoma at Southeastern Oklahoma State University.
So lots of warmer places than we're currently looking at.
Well, I think, growing up in Nebraska, I certainly got used to
That's right.
winters.
So you're not unafraid of winter.
Well, it just depends on the winter.
Well, good. So your job at SDSU, what are you primarily responsible for? Like during the year, what is it that you do?
Well, the biggest piece of what I do is conducting the Wind Symphony and managing the concert band program. But I wear a lot of hats at SDSU. I work with the athletic bands as well, so every time Pride of the Dakotas is having rehearsal, I'm out there with them there. I work with basketball bands on occasion as well. I teach music theory, I teach conducting, I supervise student teachers, I cover some other classes every once in a while. A lot of different things.
Well, and there's outreach into bands throughout the state as well, and recruitment too. I know that you guys do a lot of that, hoping to bring all of those potential musicians up to SDSU.
Yes.
So, our next question is, what or who inspired you to go into music or conducting?
I think I had a lot of great mentors in terms of my music education. I think if you were to speak to people who are band directors, that they have people who are inspirational band directors to them. So certainly, my junior high and high school band directors were both, the relationships were very meaningful to me. I had a wonderful mentor in my undergraduate degree who got me really excited about the idea of conducting as a profession. I think up until then, I had an inkling that I wanted to be involved in music, but I wasn't quite sure where in music that was going to lead me. And she helped me to find the career pathway that I'm on today. And then obviously since then my mentors in my graduate school helped shape me into the musician that I am today.
So, and speaking of conducting, for those that are thinking about music and the same as you, like not sure exactly, when you're doing your undergraduate, or you're doing that, you had an instrument you played?
Yes.
Okay. What was that instrument?
Clarinet.
And so, as you're doing your undergraduate degree, is conducting an undergraduate degree typically?
No.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any programs in the country that are conducting specific at the undergraduate level. Conducting is typically a performance degree associated at the graduate level. Sometimes people who end up being professional conductors pursue affiliated fields, like they might do graduate work in music education, they might do graduate work in another field and take on conducting as an additional element. Certainly, it kind of varies between people who conduct choirs and people who conduct wind ensembles and people who conduct orchestras. A lot of times people who are orchestral conductors grow up as performers and then initiate a second career as a conductor.
So it's not necessarily, so for those that are looking to go kind of a different path than, or thinking about conducting, it's one of those where you go get a music degree or a performance degree, and then you can go and pursue other avenues then after.
That would be the most typical
Okay.
pathway to that.
So our third question is, when not conducting your own group, who do you listen to?
Well, it might surprise you that I don't spend a lot of time listening to classical music when I'm not when I'm not on the job or in my office or doing things like that. Which isn't to say that I don't love listening to classical music. I do, but I try to branch out and listen to as much variety as I possibly can.
Okay.
So I get in all sorts of kicks, but you know, I grew up listening to classic rock, and I still love tuning into, you know, my old haunt radio stations when I'm back home. I love listening to jazz. I love listening to folk music. I've had a real drawing towards like Appalachian and sort of bluegrass styles in recent years. You know, occasionally some hip hop. I'm not nearly as well versed in it as I should be for someone who would claim that I enjoy listening to hip hop. But some country music, particularly some like alt country sort of things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's so much out there now, and I think that the genres themselves blend together so much differently than before.
Of course.
And so, like I know in our house tonight that you listen to the NPR, the Live from Here.
Yeah.
And it's so good. For those that don't tune in, it's weekly, right? Saturdays, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, typically on they broadcast on Saturday early evening.
Right, and it's all just up and new music or artists that are established, and it's a great show, like I would say.
Yeah.
That side note. Next question. What recommendations do you have for those going into your field?
Well, I mean, the easiest thing to say would be practice. You know, if you're going to be a musician, you have to spend time practicing. And that was good advice that I got early on in my career, is that no matter what you're planning on doing, you need to be really good at your performance area. Whether you're an instrumentalist or a vocalist, if you're in music in college, 99% of those folks are people who have some sort of a connection to a performing background. They were an instrumentalist or a singer in high school and junior high, and have continued their study on into undergraduate work. Occasionally you'll find somebody who goes into an undergraduate degree in composition who doesn't have a background performing at all. But it's pretty rare. Usually everybody has some sort of connection to that. And I would suggest that you need to be good at that. That's the first and foremost thing. There's no reason not to be. It always, particularly for people who are going into a music education field who want to teach music, I have heard from some students over my time when I was a student and even as a teacher, well, I'm just going to go teach music. Why do I need to be good at playing the trumpet? And well, the reason why is because the lessons that you learn from the musicianship in that will inform your ability to be a good musician in front of your students. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be good at something that you're pursuing.
Well, and especially something that you're passionate about. And we're not talking like professional level symphony orchestra good, but still good, like you are practicing and being pursuing your craft in a way that you could share it with other people and students.
The better that you're able to develop those skills, the more you'll be able to transplant those to a different area. So if you want to pursue conducting, or if you want to be teaching ensembles, those things they translate from one to the other.
Yeah, so the dreaded practice word.
Yeah.
Extra time.
Certainly beyond that, I would say to be intellectually curious. I think learning more, listening to lots of different styles of music is partially why I spend so much time listening to other kinds of music, because I want to broaden my perspectives. Reading books of all different sorts can be helpful. Learning new music, if you want to discover a world of conducting, you have to know a lot of repertoire. So you do have to listen to classical music in that case. You have to spend a lot of time doing that. And it's certainly like through my undergraduate, my graduate degrees, I spent so much time in the library with, we had CDs at the time. It wasn't all digital streaming at that point, and I would just spend a lot of time with headphones on my head just listening to things, because it's like, I haven't heard this before, I should give this a shot.
Well, and I would say even in the wind ensemble world, like the difference between what would you would say is a classical literature as compared to like some contemporary literature now is so different, and that you have to be open to all those kind of things too, because of just all the new. It's amazing all the stuff that
it's a constantly changing dynamic between the repertoire that exists and the repertoire that's being created, and that's what's cool about it, is that it never ends. It's constantly being added to, and it's fun to be able to see all the new sounds that are being created by visionary artists today. Absolutely.
Last question: when not conducting or teaching, what do you do for fun?
Well, there's not all that much time left over after all of the work related responsibilities get done in the day, which isn't to say that I don't love doing them, because it's a passion of mine, and I really enjoy being a part of the musical lives of these students. I would say that like my hobbies include, I do some distance running, so I go out and spend a lot of time, especially over the summer when the weather's a little bit nicer, spend a lot of time outside running on the trails in town here. When it turns a little nastier, I'm grateful to have a wellness center membership, so I can go inside and get a workout in there. Do a little bit of cooking, reading.
So just easy fun hobbies.
Yeah.
So. Well, cool. Well, is there anything else that you would like to tell people about SDSU? Like, is there concerts coming up?
Always, and you can check us out on Facebook. There's a School of Performing Arts Facebook page that you can follow and like, and you can get updates on concerts on a weekly basis. You can always also check our website as well. We've got usually a semester's worth of events listed there for both music and theater and dance as well on there. And I just encourage you to go out and experience the arts, because there's so much in the community, and there's so much in the region that you can experience, and the more that you can consume, I think the better you'll be for it.
Absolutely. I mean, Jake actually won an award recently. What was your award that you won?
I was the winner of the American Prize in Conducting for 2019.
So very exciting for our community to have such talented musicians here to be able to share their craft with the students at SDSU as well as our community. So thanks again for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for answering the questions. Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.